Hey everyone, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're going to take a bit of a museum tour to explore the massive cultural footprint of the Fox film empire by looking at three highly distinct historical artifacts. We usually just think of movie studios as the modern blockbusters they churn out, right? But their histories are actually woven directly into the fabric of our cities, our global politics, and absolutely our shared pop culture memory.
So ask yourself, what do these seemingly completely unrelated items share? We're talking about a quiet, two-story brick building in Los Angeles, a super controversial political film from the 1930s, and a sweeping snare drum roll that you have definitely heard in a dark movie theater. Well, today, we're going to uncover their shared connection, which is the enduring, complex, and honestly sometimes shocking legacy of 20th Century Fox.
Here is a quick roadmap for our explainer today. First up, the historic Fox apartments. Second, the Rothschild film paradox. And finally, we'll dig into the evolution of an icon. All right, artifact number one, the historic Fox apartments, a 1925 relic of early Hollywood development. Let's start right on the ground in Los Angeles. Built in 1925 by developer A.T. Litzo, this building sits in the Comstock Hills section of Westwood. What's super cool is that it's directly across from what used to be the original Fox Studios ceremonial gate, which, fun fact, actually opened a year later in 1926. The Westwood Community Council and Survey LA note this red brick-clad building sat right on the old Pacific Electric Red Car Santa Monica line. It is literally a brick-and-mortar footprint of a totally bygone era of interurban transit way before freeways took over LA. Designed by architect Kirby T. Snyder, this place really shows you what life was like before cars completely dictated everything we do. It was incredibly pedestrian-focused. We're talking ground floor shops right at the sidewalk's edge, with bachelor and single apartments up on the second story. Every shop had its own entrance, which created this really bustling, vibrant street-level energy that defined early neighborhood commercial corridors. And people really want to save it. Preserving this rare connection to early Hollywood has sparked unanimous grassroots support. From the Cultural Heritage Commission to Councilwoman Katie Yaroslavsky, plus a ton of local homeowners associations like the LA Conservancy, there is a massive citywide push to add the Fox Apartments to the list of historic cultural monuments. But, as we're about to see, the studio's influence went way, way beyond local architecture. Moving on to artifact number two, the Rothschild film paradox, which was 1934's highly controversial anti-Nazi counterattack. Now we're zooming out to the studio's global political impact with the 1934 film The House of Rothschild. This wasn't just your standard prestige biopic. It was a desperate gamble by a brand new studio to launch a direct ideological counterattack right when Hitler seized control of Germany. But this brings us to a frankly horrifying historical paradox. Producer Darryl F. Zanuck and star George Arliss made this audacious film to celebrate Jewish dignity. But then, Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels literally hijacked it. He stole specific sequences from this American film without any permission and weaponized them in his 1940 documentary, The Eternal Jew. It is wild to think about. An artwork explicitly designed to combat hatred was reconstructed as propaganda by the very regime it opposed. 14. That's a pretty specific number, right? Well, it represents the 14 pages of incredibly detailed script notes written by the film's star and creative driving force, George Arliss. He absolutely refused to do a sanitized story. He demanded the screenwriters enlarge the anti-Semitism themes and make the historical persecution completely visible. He knew that to make a film about dignity in the face of persecution, you actually have to show the persecution. And the censorship battles were intense. Before it was released, a really powerful official from the Hays office, which was Hollywood's strict censorship board, actually suggested showing the completed film to a representative of the German government for approval. Yeah, no way. Producer Darryl F. Zanuck point-blank refused. He prioritized his political conviction and artistic integrity over profitable German market access, and he absolutely wasn't going to let the Nazis touch his narrative. Behind the scenes? Oh man. The production that shaped this Best Picture nominee was pure chaos. I mean, we're talking about an emergency director swap when Alfred Worker just collapsed mid-production. And then there's Zanuck's personal pet sheepdog just casually hanging out uncredited in the background. Plus, Arliss cast his real-life wife, Florence, to get that genuine domestic realism. And that famous finale was actually shot in cutting-edge, super experimental 3-strip Technicolor to make it visually triumphant. Even the Anti-Defamation League initially opposed casting the non-Jewish Arliss, but Zanuck eventually won them over, leading to a massive endorsement from Thybreath. Adding one final, really devastating irony to this artifact, the Nazis released their own competing official remake of the story in 1940 called Die Rothschilds. But according to historians, in this bizarre twist of fate, the Nazi version accidentally made Nathan Rothschild a far more sympathetic, intelligent, and cunning adversary than the American film even did. It just goes to show how complex the appropriation of art can really be. All right, let's look at artifact number 3, evolution of an icon. Focusing on the 20th Century Fox Searchlight logo. For our final stop, we are zooming all the way out to the studio's omnipresent global branding. We're talking about that majestic tower and those sweeping searchlights. Back in 1935, the special effects department created this monument using paintings on several layers of glass, animating the searchlights frame by frame. Fast forward to 1994, and it became this massive, full CGI structure. If you look really closely at that 90s version, you can actually see the Los Angeles and Hollywood skyline in the background, complete with little fictional storefronts. And, of course, in 2020, after the Disney acquisition, it was officially updated to 20th Century Studios. But honestly, that sweeping visual is absolutely nothing without its music, right? A total all-star lineup of legendary composers built that fanfare. Alfred Newman composed the original in 1935 and then added the famous extended flourish for CinemaScope in 1954. John Williams actually re-recorded a variant for Star Wars in 1980. Bruce Broughton brought in a massive orchestra for the 1994 CGI logo, and beautifully bringing it all full circle, David Newman, who is Alfred Newman's son, conducted the 1998 arrangement that we still hear in theaters today. Okay, I have to share this fantastic little piece of design trivia. Have you ever really noticed the 0 in the 20th? Back in 1953, to accommodate the brand new ultra-wide CinemaScope aspect ratio, Pacific title artist Rocky Lungo actually had to slant the 0 so the whole logo would fit properly on the screen. That slanted 0 became a total design staple of the studio, altering the monument's geometry forever. So to wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this final thought. We've looked at a preserved 1920s brick apartment building, a 1934 political film tragically stolen for propaganda, and a painted glass logo that eventually evolved into a digital skyline. They are all artifacts of the exact same empire. It really makes you wonder, a century from now, how will the footprints of today's massive media empires be preserved, remembered, or maybe even distorted by history? Thank you so much for exploring this historical record with me today.